Hello and welcome to Unbounded Growth, a podcast that challenges you to grow and become a better version of yourself. My name is Marc-alain, and together with my friend Adam, we share thoughts and ideas from the books that we read and how they enhance our personal growth and development. We also host other readers and leaders. We learn from their experiences through our discussions. Our episodes air every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for listening in, and let's grow together. Unbounded Growth. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Unbounded Growth. Happy Tuesday. My name is Marc-alain Muteba. I'm your host here with my friend and co-host Adam Shebindu. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing well. Mark, how you doing?
I'm getting a lot better, finally realized I started aging up. I tore my Achilles last weekend as we were discussing just a little bit before we started the episode. But, I cannot be grateful enough. I'm alive and I have a roof on top of my head. So thankful and grateful for everything. I know you had a busy weekend. In 1 minute, what's the summer of your weekend?
This past week was amazing. The past week was great. I attended the Biomedical Engineering Society International Conference that happened in San Antonio, Texas. So I had to travel there with a few of my colleagues. I presented some of my work over there where I talked about a brain on a chip technology. That's the work that I've been working on for the past several months. And I talked about neuroinflammation and how just the brain defends itself. The whole scenario. So I developed a technology in that area. And apart from that, some amazing people over there from Stanford, and I hope they can catch, they can tune in and all of them can listen to this week's episode, because I believe that what we are doing for this weekend for the next several weeks is going to be really crucial for a researcher. It's going to be really crucial even for a businessman, for anybody, honestly. It's going to be so good. So, it was great. I met some big names, actually, in our field, in biomedical engineering. I met Dr. Samuel Achilefu, who has been really a big inspiration to me.
Right.
And I had to network with him. I met Dr. Tyrone Porter from University of Texas, also amazing person to really just network. He gave me great advice. So it was amazing. I had fun. San Antonio was also a lot of fun. I got to do the river walk and so on.
River walk is beautiful. I've always liked
really
river
nice.
walk.
It was a great experience. So I'm happy to be back now. Full hands on. I'm now getting ready for my dissertation proposal. So it's gonna be crazy hours again, but it was a good break. And also next week I'm gonna be in New York City, where I'm gonna be speaking at the Columbia Africa Conference.
Yes, sir.
And I'm gonna be working on engineering a better Africa. So that's also very exciting. I'm already very excited. And the list of panelists just came out, and it's crazy good. It's
mind blowing.
I would urge you to go check it out. Check it out on Instagram. I think it's Columbia Africom.
Absolutely.
On Instagram.
And we definitely try to also
amazing.
share those information on Instagram for those of you who like to catch up with Adam on that conference and listen to his keynote and just all the good stuff. And as Adam was mentioning just a minute ago about the book that we are reviewing right now, we're talking about Atomic Habits with James Clear. And I think all of us here on Unbounded Growth and all of us around the world, all we're trying to do is to grow a better you, grow a better person, and grow a better individual. And one of the ways to achieve that, and we all know that we all want to build good habits and stop bad habits. And the difficulties that we have sometimes when we're trying to build a habit is we do not know how to build a good habit. You will see people trying to achieve something. They're trying to lose weight. I read a statistic a few years ago that was saying that 90% or 85% of people New Year's resolution in the United States of America is to lose weight. And at the end of the year, they have the same resolution to lose weight the next year, which pushes you to wonder, why is it that people desire to achieve something, but they cannot achieve it? Why is it that some people set up their mind to do something to do it, and other people set up their mind to do something and they cannot do it? What is it that makes top performers different different from the rest of the world? What is it that make people that know how to build saving habits, or athletes that need that build consistent discipline? What makes them different? How can they build habits and be so consistent in doing them? And while the rest of us sometimes we struggle with just building little habits like stop using your phone for 5 hours at work, or maybe waking up early in the morning, or maybe just turning off your phone and going to bed early, or not staying on wives real wives of Atlanta for 5 days. How can you break the pattern of things that you don't want to see in your life and start building a pattern of things that you want to see? So those are the questions that we are trying to answer through this book here with James Clear, Atomic Habit. And as I've already confessed that I'll be jumping in between Atomic Habits and Tiny Habits of BJ Fogg that I just finished recently, and for which I'm writing a summary that we'll be shortly sharing on both our websites when it's ready, but also on our Instagram page with Notion.io, where you can go check the summary if you'll be interested in reading the book. So last time we started talking about how habits can work for or against you. Adam was giving some very cool example from the book about how good habits can work for you, but bad habits can definitely work against you and be very detrimental to you. And today we will be starting to talk about the first 3 chapters of the book. How can the habits that you build shape your identity? And also maybe the summary, we like to call it the summary of this book, chapter 3, where it talks about how to build better habits in 4 simple steps. And of course, in the future, we will dive into those individual steps to talk a little bit more about that. So you remember that last week when we started talking about this, we said that there are 4 laws in building habits. The first one is to make it obvious. The second one is to make it attractive. The third one is to make it easy. And the fourth one is to make it satisfying. And when we get to that, we talk more in details about that. I know it's kind of easy to talk about it, but when you start really building those habits, how can you make it so easy that it's easy for you to implement? One of the problems that happens when it comes to change is that we tend to think that change is about time, right? Is about, like we say, okay, how long will it take me to build a new habit? And scientists and psychologists and neuroscientists have been arguing on this question for years, for so many years. Some people say, well, it takes 21 days to build a habit and break a bad habit. Some people say it takes 60 days. Some people say it takes 90 days to do that. What's the true answer? Some people have been consistent at a habit for 90 days, and after that, they broke and went back to step number 1. The change is not about the number of days. And this is one of the things that we talk about today, is about the systems that you create. We talk about the difference between the goals and the system. So that's a little bit kind of our roadmap today. And let's dive into it.
Yeah, so the first thing that we're gonna be looking at here when we talk about this very first chapter, that is say the surprising power of atomic habits. I think we last week we kind of just brushed through this very first step here, but there's a point where he is mentioning that's actually is so dear to me, is what progress really looks like. Like, how do you define progress? Because it's so important. It's so important to know that sometimes progress is not visible.
Yep.
But it's actually happening. For engineer, there's a very good experiment, an engineering experiment that he actually sets here. He say that if you have a very cold room and you are below freezing temperature and you have ice, like a very just water that is iced, and you're in the room, and then the temperature is start getting warmer and warmer slowly, and then boom, you were not noticing, but the ice start to melt after a while.
Like literally from 31 degree Fahrenheit, the ice will still stay, it will still stay as ice. But then as soon as you cross over 32, it starts melting.
It's gone. Yeah, and he makes a point here. He says breakthrough moments are often the result of many previous actions, which build up the potential required to unleash a major change. This particular thing, it's it kind of summarizes I can even say my career or even just my life.
Mm,
I'm a I'm a person of small gains.
mhm,
I don't make huge gains. Huge gains can happen, which is not bad.
mhm,
But I'm a person in everything around me, everything in my life is based on very slow and small gains. I go to the lab every single day. I work every single day toward an objective, toward something.
mm,
And sometimes it feels like I'm actually doing nothing.
mhm,
That is the crazy part about pretty much everything that I'm in,
mm,
is that um sometimes it feels like I'm not really doing anything. And I had this thing that's always um it's kind of it's kind of it makes me push myself down a little, because
mm,
I will try to compare myself with others,
mhm,
colleagues and so on, and see what they are actually doing. Like they're doing this, they're running this, they've been ordering this,
mm,
all of those stuff. I'll start comparing myself to them.
mm,
But when it's gonna be now the time to show results, we end up I show really great results.
mm.
And sometimes I look back, I'm like, what? When did I do all of this? When did I was I able to accomplish? It's just that's the power of marginal gains.
Mhm,
Those very small gains, and my students have kind of just trained them to that.
mhm,
That hey, we don't have to show something huge in 1 minute.
mm.
We can start showing something slow, little by little changes until we've accomplished something.
And I think Adam, to your point, maybe if it makes you feel better, most of us actually we struggle with the same thing. It's like, especially when you're trying to achieve something in life, when you're trying to do something, you may feel like whatever I'm doing right now doesn't make a difference, right? And I think this goes a lot in conflict with our generation, the way we handle things in this generation or in this day and age. You know, Facebook or Instagram or Twitter have made it so easy for you to do something. You want to talk to your friend? Click a button. You want to start a relationship? Swipe left, swipe right. And things have become so much easy for us to do that we forget that in the true nature of human beings, it takes time for things to happen. It takes time for a tree to grow. And we've seen the consequences when we try to speed up the process. And the problem with the mindset or the mentality that we have right now, that I can do everything, I can microwave. My pastor always says that we live in a microwave generation. And Adam was even making a joke about it last time. He said, as a matter of fact, we don't even wait for the microwave to hit zero. Like we put it in there for 30 seconds, and then 10 seconds later it's like, oh, I'm done with this. But in reality, is life doesn't work that way. And I think and James Clear talks about it. The reason why most of us fail to create sustainable change is because we want instant results. And after a while, when we don't see those results, we get discouraged and we give up. He gives an example here. It says that a man is trying to lose weight, and all of a sudden decides to start running every day. You run every day for half an hour to an hour, and a month later your weight hasn't even changed. Sometimes you even gain more weight. I've experienced that in my life. For 2 months, I've been keeping a strict diet. That's one of the reasons even I tore my Achilles, because I was trying to stay more consistent with my habits, my eating habits, and my exercising habits. And I'll be honest, when I started, I was weighing a certain way, and then 2 months later, I started weighing more. I was like, what's the point of doing all this that I'm doing? I'm torturing myself. I'm doing this and that, but I'm not losing weight. And then the other day, I picked up one of my pants that was kind of not fitting me anymore. I put it on and I could like zip it up and close it up without any problem. Then I realized what was really happening. If I'd given up in this first 2 weeks or in the first 4 weeks because I was not seeing any sustainable or marginal change, I would have lost all the opportunity to win so many other battles. So it calls it here, say change. It says here one thing that I like, two things. The first one is say that change can take years before it happens all at once. You see a lot of people we see today, Adam, like tomorrow making a life breaking discovery in the world of science. All of us would be like, oh my God, Adam Shabindu, now he's in overnight success. But nobody knows all the tears and the time that he spent in his lab, not knowing what to do, spending a whole month or maybe 6 months without breaking a single thing. And all of a sudden, something happened. Is it the one moment X that created all the change? Not necessarily. It's all those little small victories, marginal gains, gain over time that help. The other quote that he says here that Jacob Race used to hang in his locker room. It says that when nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stone cutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times, without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at 101st blow, it will split in two, and I know it was not the last blow that did it, but all that had gone before. The little changes that you're making today in your diet, in your schedule, in your studies, every single little marginal change that you make today eventually compounds and make the big change and the life-changing discovery and the overnight success and the everything that people will see one day.
Yes, and I would like to just move on here to um, the second point he made, and it's actually my favorite because this is directly connected to what John C. Maxwell actually also insists on the law of design when we talked about the 15 invaluable laws of growth in our previous episode in our first season.
Mhm.
He says here, forget about goals, focus on system instead.
Mm.
A few examples that he gives.
Mhm.
He says, if you're a coach, your goal might be to win a championship.
Mm.
Your system is the way you recruit players, manage your assistant coaches, and conduct practice.
Mm.
If you're an entrepreneur, your goal might be to build $1 million business.
Mhm.
Your system is how you test product ideas, hire employees, and run marketing campaigns.
Mhm.
If you're a musician, your goal might be to play a new piece. Your system is how often you practice,
Mhm.
how you break down and tackle difficult measures, and your methods for receiving feedback from your instructor.
Mm.
And he went on and started now talking about the problems that's come across.
When you
Or he
set
talked
goals
about,
instead of having systems.
yeah,
Mm.
that when you said goals, that he talked about I believe four of them.
Mhm.
He talks about winners and losers have the same goals.
Fact.
That's true. We all want to win. We all want to make it. Like everybody in this world, unless you have some type of mental problems, or
Mhm.
you are not really thinking of anything, or you just have some issue in
Mm.
your brain,
Mhm.
you would want to succeed.
Jim Rohn puts it this way. He said all of us want to be healthy, wealthy, happy. you know, there's a few things that all of us as human beings would like to have in life. Of course, there are a few exceptions, and Adam said that unless you have maybe some mental issues or maybe your goals are completely different, but all of us we desire to be happy. At least we desire to be healthy. I don't know. I haven't met a single person who told me that, man, I enjoyed when I'm really sick. I haven't met a single person. By the way we go about it, go ahead, Adam.
Yes, yeah. So that's the point. We all, at the end of the day, want to accomplish something, want to be good at something.
Hmm.
But what's the difference? He says something here. He says that goal setting suffers from a serious case of survival bias.
Hmm.
We concentrate on the people who end up winning, the survivors, and mistakenly assume that ambitious goals led to their success while overlooking all of the people who had the same objective but didn't succeed. The famous American dream. The very famous American dream. That's the thing. We all want to be Bezos. We all want to be Zuckerberg, and so on. And we just look at how they turn up profit. Like, for example, one of my biggest people that I follow a lot is Elon Musk. Elon Musk has built the fastest growing startup company in the history of the world, and that's Tesla. He made it to a valuation of about $2 trillion. He started a company in 2003 or 2004. Now you can imagine. And instead of looking at what he went through,
exactly,
or what are the steps.
Like, people forget sometimes that Elon Musk also built PayPal before Tesla was even a thing, And people, we underlook PayPal today and the success that he built out there. When he left PayPal, I don't think they had those many employees. And then this lady, I forgot her name, she took over. That actually helped grow up the company. So sometimes we have that tendency of overlooking the struggle that people went through. And we're just looking at a big success. Yeah, you were talking about, winners and losers having the same goal.
Yeah, we all have the same objective in life. And James Clear is again pointing it out in a clearer way, that it's never about winning. Winning is never the goal. It's not about just the goal. It's about the methods.
Right.
You use to get there. I read a book by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is one of the co-founders of PayPal. Peter Thiel talks about, the book is 0 to 1. In 0 to 1, he explained. He say, what should you be focusing on? Where should you turn your mind in such a way that you can actually reach the success that a lot of people have reached? If you're an entrepreneur, like, are you gonna be opening another Italian restaurant while there is always like a million Italian restaurants there? Or are you gonna be thinking of how to come from 0 to 1, which means how to create a new concept that's now gonna bring you to that. So we all have the same goals, and the other thing it says, achieving a goal is only a momentary change.
And I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah, and a quote that I'm gonna quote him here is, say, achieving a goal only changes your life for the moment. That's the counterintuitive thing about improvements. We think we need to change our results, but the results are not the problem. What we really need to change are the systems that cause those results.
And I'm talking about that. You and I have been going back and forth, even about the book that we discussed on the podcast. The books that we were considering to start with was the one by Marc-alain, the seven rules of money. And in the book, she explains, for example, how we get ourselves into debt. The average American carry a credit card debt of more than $10,000, which is, you think about it, it's kind of crazy, but it's just the reality of how much. We're a consumer society where people want to consume. The problem is, and the problem with all these forgiveness programs is that someone can come to you today and say, you know what, I'm going to pay off your credit card, and wipe it away. Say, okay, if that person comes to my life, it will solve all my problems. Maybe yes, maybe no. And why not? Why no? No, because if you have not changed your consuming behaviors, you will soon find yourself again in another $10,000 problem. There's a saying in French that says, teach a man, I think it even goes in English the same way, teach a man to fish. Feed a man with a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach him to fish, you feed him every day. Because that's the way I look at goals. When you achieve a goal, you've only achieved a momentary solution. It's like, oh, today I'm going to clean up my room. Yes, you clean up your room, your room looks clean. But what can you do to prevent your room to get in another mess in another day. It goes the same way with school. I was reading this book, the four discipline of execution. I've never finished the book, but I've read more than half of it. And in that book, they also make the suggestion, say, do not focus too much on your KPI. Do not focus too much on the goals that you're trying to achieve. Instead, focus on the system. Let's again take the example of losing weight or maybe saving money. Don't focus on paying your credit card. That may be a great goal. You want to pay your credit card, but focus more on the change of your consumer behaviors. What is it that run you up in debt every time? Is it that you have some subscriptions that you have no idea about and you keep on playing for, I've seen people who have like Netflix, Hulu, what's the other one? What's the other? They got Disney Channel and Amazon Prime,
HBO.
HBO. And you're thinking to yourself, do you actually have time to watch each and every single one of these? Or people that have credit card of every single major store. You're talking about Nordstrom. You're talking about, Gucci. You're talking about every single major store that you know. And you wonder, do you have time to actually go shopping for all these? So the person, sometimes instead of solving the problem, we need to solve what causes the problem. And once we solve the cause, eventually, the results find themselves. I read this book a few years ago. I think it was called The Secret of Success, the 10 Secrets of Success, something like that. It was written by an Indian mogul, and I read it when I was in Kenya. He gave this biblical scripture that I never read in that perspective. He said, the Bible says in Proverbs that uh, if you hit the nose, it will bleed. That's the easy to read version that says it. He said if you hit someone on the nose, his nose will bleed. And he started explaining. He said, well, if you do not want the nose to bleed, then you don't hit the nose. And he went on to explain that a lot of times we try to stop the bleeding while we are still hitting the nose. If you want to stop the bleeding, stop hitting the nose first, and then the bleeding will take care of itself. And so I truly think that the problem with goals is that smart goals, on super smart goals, whatever you want to call them, you only achieve them but for a moment. But when you change your method and your behavior, then the change can be permanent and you don't have to worry about the results, because if you change the method, the result will take care of themselves.
And just the idea of satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
James Clear put it very clearly here on the third problem. He talked about goals restrict your happiness.
Mm.
He make a straight point here, and he also give actually a counter argument or a solution to it. He said the problem with a goal, with the problem with a goals first mentality,
Mm-hmm.
is that you are continually putting happiness off until the next milestone.
Mm.
You are not happy, you are not enjoying your life, you're just pushing, okay, next thing is I'm gonna be happy the day I graduate. And then I'm gonna be happy the day I'm gonna get my master's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be happy the day I'm gonna make my first 6-figure salary.
Mm-hmm.
You keep on pushing your happiness, and at the end you're gonna achieve it. Of course, you're gonna be getting it, but then which type of person are you gonna be?
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna be actually enjoying it?
Mm-hmm.
And he give a solution to that. He say that a system first mentality, which is kind of just the contrast of the first goal first mentality.
Mm-hmm.
He say a system first mentality provides the antidote. When you fall in love with the process rather than the product, you don't have to wait to give yourself permission to be happy.
Mm.
You can be satisfied anytime your system is running. And a system can be successful in many different forms, not just the one you first envision. This is something that before this book I was struggling with. Being satisfied with those small gains,
And the small victories.
that the small victories that
Mm-hmm.
I'll be making.
Mm.
I've created a system. I've defined what would success mean to me. What would success is in my work, in my career? How does it look like? I have already defined that. And now, what are the habits that, because some of these things that James Clear put here are the advantage of having good habits or creating habits, is because you are saving your brain a lot of brain power. I think most the energy that we take in through food is consumed by our brain. About, I believe, 60 to 70% of the energy goes to just empower the brain. And habits make it easy for the brain to get something done. It's out of habits that we wake up in the morning and we start doing our routine without even thinking about it. It's out of habits that you can take a spoon, and even if you don't have any eyes, you can take a spoon and put in food and put in your mouth. It's all the power of habits. And if you have put your habits together into a system, that brings you a lot of happiness. And then he went on and he's talking about goals are at odds with long-term progress. He said, the purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building system is to continue playing the game. True long-term thinking is goal-less thinking. It's not about any single accomplishment. It is about the cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvement. Ultimately, it is your commitment to the process that will determine your progress. Is how much are you involved into the bringing that and going back again to the satisfaction. It's for you to actually reach where we want to be.
Right.
It's by developing a system and not just setting goal.
And you know that we're not here trying to bash goals completely, right? Goals are still important in life. You still want to hit some targets, right? You still by the end of the year you want to achieve certain things by the end of the next month, because goals give you that motivation. Goals give you that drive. The problem is when you only focus on goals. One thing I've noticed with goals is that once you hit the goal, you lose your traction. Once you hit that goal and you hit that target, unless you have a higher goal or a bigger goal than the very first goal, unless you create a system where you can stay consistent with your growth and personal development, once you hit that, you plateau. And I've seen that so many times, even like with grades and salary and personal development and all that. Your goal may be like, oh my God, I want to get into Google. And as soon as you get into Google, you stop learning. You stop doing the things that help you get into Google. Why do so many people quit in addiction, and a few years later they are back into the very same addiction? Or so many people, we quit something, or we start exercising and eating healthy, and as soon as they hit their goals, like, oh, okay, I'm going to lose 20 pounds, and they will hit the gym, they will start eating healthy, and they'll do all the right things. But as soon as they lose the 20 pounds that they've been trying to lose, they go back into the old habits. It's like, okay, now I have the right to do whatever I want to do. And one point Adam mentioned that I think is very important that we need to go back to: define what happiness is to you. And sometimes the problem with creating new habits is that when we don't see the results that we are looking for, we beat ourselves down. And again, I'm going to take again an example about, making money, saving money, or maybe losing weight, or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, right? You say, okay, this year, by the end of this year, or every month, I need to save $10, right? And you find yourself every month not being able to save whatever you want to save. And what happens is that you start beating yourself down. It's just like, oh my God, oh, poor old me, little poor old me, the plum disease. And you start thinking to yourself, oh my God, why can't I ever do something right? But when you do a little something positive toward the right direction, you fail to celebrate those little moments. And BJ Fogg in Tiny Habits, correlating a little bit to Atomic Habits here by James Clear, it gives a simple strategies. As Adam was saying, that defining what happiness is. Every time you make a little progress towards your goal, towards your new behavior. Let's say for example, you want to keep your room and clean every single day. You don't want to have a day where you have to clean your whole room. You want your room to stay consistently clean. When you wake up and you make your bed, celebrate. I'm not asking you to go crazy. I've learned the things that make me happy. And sometimes you wonder, what can I do to celebrate? If singing makes you happy, every time you achieve a goal, celebrate. And what that does to your brain, you are actually short circuiting your brain to know that whatever I've just achieved has given me satisfaction. And that's what these movie creators, McDonald's, or TikTok creators have discovered. They create something that is so easy for you to use that every time you use it, you feel instant gratification. I want to look at a video. You can only swipe and you start watching a video. I want to eat something. You can go to McDonald's, is within a minute. You have your food ready and you're out of there. And all those little stuff creates satisfaction. But true change sometimes is hard. When you break your true change into small progress, into small achievable things, creating a system of like, when I wake up in the morning, what is the first thing I do? Do I check my phone? No. Maybe when I wake up in the morning, I would get on my knees and say thank you to God. And when you wake up, you do that, celebrate that moment. When you celebrate that, you are wiring the habit into your brain that pushes you to do it a little more often. And we talk a little bit more about that. And just going back to that, the system of atomic habits, which James Clear concludes the first chapter with here. It says that you do not rise to the level of your goals. You rise to the level of your system. You can achieve a goal today, but until you create a consistent system where you can achieve the same goal tomorrow, you will fall short of the next goal. So systems are more important than goals. So moving into the second chapter, I don't know, Adam, if you have anything else to add on that first chapter.
Yeah, just one point,
Yes, sir.
that habits
Mm-hmm.
are like atoms of our lives.
Mm.
Knowing that they define everything of who we are
Mm.
at the very, very small scale.
Mhm.
Before we know it, we already have a routine. Routine is an accumulation of several habits put together.
Mm.
It becomes a routine. So it's like routine is like molecules,
Mm.
and all becomes a part of system, which is our life, the way we conduct our life, the way we manage our money, the way we eat, the way we sleep, everything is set with those habits that we acquire at a very, very small scale. And that's why the habits is basically controlling your habits at a very small scale can actually change. For people who understand a little bit of chemistry, is that a change at the atomic level is a really huge change at the systemic level.
All right. So in the second chapter, James Clear starts talking about how your habits shape your identity and vice versa. I kind of really like this chapter because it dives a little bit into why creating good habits is hard, but maintaining bad habits is kind of easy. He said that despite our best intentions, unhealthy habits like eating junk food, watching too much television, procrastinating, and smoking can feel impossible to break. And now it gives us two reasons why they are so impossible to break or hard to break. He said the first reason is that we try to change the wrong thing, right? And then the second one is that we try to change our habits in the wrong way. Now, about trying to change the wrong thing, I personally have an experience with that. let's talk again about weight management. I know I talk a lot about weight management. I know it's something that we all we all try. Maybe because I'm a little bit I'm already in my 30s. Like yesterday was my birthday. I moved up past the 30 line, and you want to maintain a healthy body, healthy spirit. You want to stay healthy. The problem is when we try to change the wrong thing. You may think that my goal is to maintain a healthy weight, but your true goal is to look good in your clothes. And once you have that conflict of identity of goals in the beginning, you may be chasing the wrong thing. You may lose 20 pounds today and all of a sudden you don't like yourself anymore. Why? Because you don't look as good as you thought that you look in your clothes. So it's important, and we talked about that last week. We said clarify your aspirations, clarify your goals. Whatever is it that you are trying to achieve as a person, that has to be clear in the first place. Now, why is that important? Goals, habits have the way we change our habits. There are three layers in every habit. There's the outcome, there's the process, and then there's the identity. In order for a new habit to be created, those three things have to change. Your identity has to change, the process has to change, and the outcome has to change. Now, the problem that we have right now is that most of us try to change our habits by starting with the outcome. I want to lose weight. I want to pay off my credit card. I want to do A, B, C, D. We have all this aspiration and we try to change our habits by doing that. Now, the first layer, it talks about changing the outcome is the level is concerned with changing the results. And we talked about that a minute ago. You are more concerned with changing what is the outcome of of your habits. I want to publish a book. It's just an outcome. Now the second layer, which about changing the process, it says this level is concerned with changing your habit, the system, implementing a new routine at the gym. The clustering your desk for better workflow. And actually, that's very important. If you always have hard time focusing on your desk, just look at your desk. If there are too many distractions on your desk, try to clear up your desk. Only leave the items that you need to work with. And that's just an example I'm giving. I know Adam has a lot of experience with that and probably tell us a little more about it in just a quick second here. And at the third and the deepest layer is changing your identity. This level is concerned with changing your belief, your worldview, your self image, your judgment about yourself and others. Most of the beliefs, assumptions, and biases are hosted at this very level. Everything that you believe about yourself or about your habit or about everything are hosted in your identity. So, how does true change happen? Does it come from the outcome based habit where it's like, I'm trying to change A, B, C, D, I'm trying to change the result? Or should we go from the inside out?
Yeah, and the way he represented here, actually, I've always just when I read this book about 5 months ago,
Mm.
uh, I have directly also just connected it to um, the way also kind of the principle that makes a human.
Mm-hmm.
There are the opinions, there are the values,
Mm-hmm.
and there are the beliefs.
Right.
And it's all like an onion. The deeper the layer is in an onion,
Mm-hmm.
the stronger it is to remove or to peel off.
Mm.
And people always go for the easy one.
Mm-hmm.
So people will try to focus on their outcomes because, okay, they will go like, okay, I want to lose weight. I want to do this. I want to change this. I want to do this about my life and so on. And they'll be so much focused on the outcome,
Mm.
which they think is just easy. Little do they know that for you to actually change your outcome,
Mm-hmm.
you need to go deeper
Right.
than just outcome.
Mm.
And the second easy thing to actually, to do and change is the process. Even a few people will try to do something differently a little here and there. But changing the process sometimes is not what actually gets you the ultimate change that you are looking for.
Mm.
For you to actually have a considerable change in your life, you gotta change your identity.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta start changing what you are telling yourself.
Yep.
An example. James Clear put an example um, for people who are trying to stop smoking, for example. You have somebody, you say, you trying to give somebody a cigarette.
Yep.
And one person tell you, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. It sounds good. It's not a problem at all. But just by the fact that you're saying you're trying to quit, you are implying that you are still a smoker.
Yeah.
That you still smoke. But yeah, you're in the process to quit. Which is because it's very different than somebody replying, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. When you're not a smoker, that's build an identity inside of you of a non-smoker. It's a very tiny, it's a very small shift in your life that makes the entire difference. And again, like I said in the first in the introductory episode last week, I had an issue sleeping, and I based my entire identity on the fact that I don't sleep. I thought that not sleeping is the cool thing. I could explain it by science. I could explain it with everything around me, telling myself, well, sleeping is just a commodity.
Right.
It's not something it's not a must. Which is not true. And I made my brain believe that. But as again, we're gonna develop even more on how I changed that habit, how I got start sleeping better. How actually it helped me even feel better. The fact that for me, I made an atomic habit change, a tiny change of, and I'm gonna put it here because I'm gonna be going back to this example, how I applied atomic habit to actually be able to succeed in this area. What I did to change, I started removing my cell phone next to me when I'm sleeping.
And you buy the good old alarm clock.
Yeah. I go to sleep. My apartment back then was not even that big. So even if my phone is in the living room,
you can still
I'll
hear
still
it.
hear my alarm clock. And you know what's interesting about it is that since I don't know whoever designed Apple's alarm clock, that guy, I don't know for real. Samsung sometime will get you to sleep more. Apple's alarm clock, whenever you hear it, it's like it's triggering a part of your brain. Regardless of how deeply you were sleeping.
Right.
You're going to wake up. So I started putting that cell phone in the living room. And it will start making a lot of noise. And I had no choice but getting up and going there. And in fact, I would sleep for so long until my alarm clock. Of course, I don't want to be late at the same time.
Right.
I want to still be on time. But I will go to bed. I book myself to leave my phone, no cell phone, leave my phone in the living room at 12. And I'll only pick it up when my alarm sounds at 7. And it worked like magic. 2-3 days, I started sleeping more than the 4 hours I was getting at night. And it was after I read Atomic Habits. And there's more things that he puts in here. And that's very considered.
And it's crazy, Adam, that you're even talking about that because most of our habits, I'll be honest. I think most of us are having a hard time implementing our habits because of our cell phones. The technology is far advanced that we think that we own cell phones, but the reality is that most of our cell phones have started owning us. I also had a similar example as Adam. I've dealt with my phone at least in bed for quite a while now. My phone, thank God for the Google Pixel. It has a few features that I like. One of them is that I could set. I think Samsung has also follow suit, or Apple maybe has been doing it for a minute now. But every time I put my phone to charge at night, it goes on do not disturb, and there's nothing that can ring out of my phone. And then the screen grows gray, which makes the phone, it's crazy. It makes your phone unattractive. Every time like you're looking at a screen black and white, you don't want to watch anything on it. So that was also one of the techniques that I used to help me. My biggest problem was, I'm a developer, a software engineer, as that's my full-time job. And my line of work requires me to learn a lot if I desire to grow in my field. I need to always be up to date, to read all the news, to watch some tutorials about new languages and stuff like that, and to spend some time working on some side project. But I was having a hard time doing it because every time my phone rang, I lost focus. And we talk about that when we talk about deep work, how to create flow, how to get in a place where you are completely focused and immersed into your work. And one thing I also did, following tiny habits and atomic habits, I just started turning my phone off and leaving it in the living room. Thank God, I'm married, so if there, in case of an emergency and people cannot reach me directly, they can always reach my wife, and my wife is we in the house together. So also be careful about that. But what are the habits that you can implement today? The tiny habits that you can implement today. So let's talk a little bit about identity. Zig Ziglar used to say that you cannot behave in a way that is inconsistent with what you believe inside of you. You cannot say that I don't smoke, and deep inside of you, you believe that you are a smoker. It's James Clear says that it's hard to change your habits if you never change the underlying beliefs that led to the past behaviors. If deep inside of you, you believe that, oh, little poor old me, my mother gave birth to me in these circumstances, or born in this city, I'll always be a drug dealer, I'll always be this way. The message that you repeat to yourself, once it leaves your conscious level, and we talked about the last time, once it leaves your conscious level and goes into your subconscious, that becomes dangerous because your subconscious doesn't think. Your subconscious only executes everything you believe. So if you believe that you're not smart, guess what? You won't study. And I think I struggle with that a lot. And I realized that, like when someone will do something really, really not smart, and then they'll go like, dummy, why am I doing this? I stopped saying that. Every time I do something like, in my head, I go like, okay, Mark, you should know better, right? I never called myself dummy. I never called myself stupid. I say, Mark, you're too smart for this, right? In my brain, I started rewiring the way I identify myself. There's one time I was listening to Zig Ziglar, and he gave this identity confession, and I try to do that every morning. He gave one for the morning, one for the evening, and it's hard to keep a straight face while you're reading this. It's hard to read this. Confess it every morning for a year. And I can challenge you. We can post it on our Instagram if you need it. Just email us at info@unboundedgrowth.com. But at the unboundedgrowth.com. But this is what every morning I say. I, Marc-alain Muteba, I'm a person of integrity with good attitude and specific goals. I have high energy level. I'm enthusiastic. I take pride in my appearance and what I do. I have a sense of humor, lots of faith, wisdom, and the vision, the empathy, and the courage to use my talent effectively. I have character and I'm knowledgeable. My convictions are strong, and I have a healthy self-image, a passion for what is right, and a solid hope for the future. I'm an honest, sincere, hardworking person. I am tough but fair and sensitive. I am disciplined, motivated, and focused. I am a good listener and patient but take decisive action. I am bold, authoritative, and confident, yet humble. I'm an encourager, a good finder, an excellent communicator, and I'm developing winning habits. I'm a student, a teacher, and a self-starter. I'm obedient, loyal, responsible, dependable, and prompt. I have a servant's heart. I'm ambitious, and I'm a team player. I am personable, optimistic, and organized. I'm consistent, considerate, resourceful. I'm intelligent, competent, persistent, and creative. I'm health conscious, balanced, and sober. I am punctual, I'm flexible, and thrifty. I'm an honorable person who's truly grateful for the opportunity life has given me. I'll be honest with y'all. If you know me, you probably know that more than 50% of what I said is really the true reflection of who I am. But was it the same way when I started saying this? No. But because I've confessed it enough, I've said it enough to myself. Every time I say I'm punctual and I'm about to be late, in my brain, it's already like wired. I'm like, Mark, you cannot say that you're punctual and every day you go to an appointment late. And changing the core belief of my identity started changing the behaviors and pretty much started becoming a reality in my life. So the best way to change is not from the outside in, but rather from the inside out.
Yeah, and he gave 2 steps here. James Clear is giving 2 steps, and just exactly how Marc-alain just put it. He said that decide the type of person you want to be
Mm,
as the first way. The second way, prove it to yourself with small wins.
mm,
This exactly everything he just cited, he just said right now is summarized in those 2 points.
mm,
First, decide the type of person you want to be. If you want to be a kind person, say I'm kind. Don't even say I want to be kind.
mm.
No,
Yeah.
you just own it.
Mm,
You own it. You want a truth about yourself.
mm.
If um if each time you just write one paragraph, call yourself a writer.
Yep.
Call yourself an author.
Mm,
Decide. Then once you've decided, then start proving it to yourself by writing.
mm.
You cannot say I'm a writer and you
Who
don't
doesn't
have
write?
yeah, who doesn't write and you don't have a page,
Mm,
one page.
mm,
This is something I challenged myself with back in 2019. I told myself I'm a writer,
mm,
and I repeat myself multiple times. Then I started a blog.
mm.
I started blogging. I still do. Whenever I get a chance, I blog. I write about whatever is coming through my mind.
Mm.
I used to write realistic fictions,
Right.
stories, and stuff like that.
Mm.
And yeah, and I could put like fables and so on. So that is one thing. He give those 2 steps here, and kind of just to now transition to the last chapter we're gonna be talking about. Before we actually get there, he talked about the real reason habits matter. He
Mm.
says identity change is the north star of habit change, and he said if you have the power to change your beliefs about yourself, your identity is not set in tone. You have a choice
Mm.
in every moment.
Mm.
You can choose the identity you want to reinforce today with the habit you choose today.
Mm.
And this brings us to the deeper purpose of this book. In fact, the real reason habits matter. Building better habits isn't about littering your day with life hacks. A lot of people try that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about flossing one tooth each night and taking a cold shower each morning or wearing the same outfit each day, because people say that that's helped change them save time. It's not about that. It's not about achieving external. I mean, unless you're a billionaire, then you can wear the same style every day. But it's not about achieving external measures of success like earning more money, losing weight, or reducing stress.
Mm.
Habits can help you achieve all these things, but fundamentally, they are not about having something.
Mm-hmm.
They're about becoming someone.
Mm.
That is what habits are there for.
Mm.
Remember, we said at the very beginning of this series that habits can either work for you
Or against you.
or against you.
Mm.
So we need to actually know how is that now helping us or not helping us.
Mm.
And we can transition now to, we're just going to brush through, because this one, this chapter 3 is the introduction of those law, and I'm just going to read them out.
Okay. Yeah.
Right now.
Mhm.
He say that if for the science of how habits work, he said first you have a cue, second you have a craving, third you respond to the craving, fourth you get rewarded.
Yep.
And that's where we're gonna pick it up now. We're gonna start talking about cue, talk about craving, we'll talk about response, and we'll talk about reward as we go through the next few episodes.
And well, ladies and gentlemen, we've really reached the top of the hour here. We'll be leaving you for today. But again, as Adam said, that's where we'll be moving on from next Tuesday. The crew, I can't even speak. Go ahead, Adam. Repeat those 4 steps again. I lost my notes here.
It's the cue,
Mhm.
the craving, the
The
response,
response and the
and the
reward.
reward.
And that's how habits are created. That's how habits were created in lives when they're doing tests with rats, giving them a cue, giving them a craving, giving them a response and a reward. How can you create and build your habit? By following these 4 simple steps. And that's where we're going to pick it up from next week. But before we go, we promise you, everybody, to give you a challenging question. Who do you want to be? Don't ask yourself, don't say, I want to lose weight. No. Don't say, I want to quit smoking. No. Try describing who you want to be by describing your identity. By saying, I want to be an honorable person. I want to be a good father. I want to be a good wife. I want to be a good kid. I want to be a good student. And start saying, like, I am a good student. And start creating habits that are consistent with your identity. You can easily change your habits by changing your identity, by changing who you are. If you want to be an engineer works, an engineer creates. If you want to be a writer writes. If you want to be, if you want to be a novelist writes. If you want to be a musician sings or writes songs or plays an instrument. So whoever you want to be, make the list today. Before you stop listening to this podcast, make a list of who you're going to be and what are the habits. The first step, you make a list of who you're going to be. The second step is, what are the habits that correspond to the person that you want to be? You want to be a straight A student? Find out what straight A students do and start putting that around. You want to be a good money manager? Find out what good money managers do and start pushing on that. So next week we're going to start on chapter 3, as we just said, a few minutes ago, how to build better habits in 4 simple steps. We move on from there. Again, we are reviewing Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you stay up to date with all our episodes. If you're listening to us on any other podcast platform, do not forget or hesitate to subscribe. If you want to support us financially, we are on www.theunboundedgrowth.com. Again, if you want to know more about us, you can write to us at info@theunboundedgrowth.com, and we are very soon starting up with our newsletter and our book summaries that we'll be doing, where you can always go online and find them once our website is finished. And if you need more information, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn, Instagram and LinkedIn for now. You can always have our information. Again, we'll be posting information about Adam and the conference that we'll be going to New York, and if you want to listen to it and learn a little bit more about it, we are more than welcome to join us. Thank you again for listening to us, and thank you for being with us here today. Anything else before we leave, Adam?
That's all on my side.
All right, y'all have an amazing week. God bless you. Bye-bye.